It all started on my birthday. The restaurant lights were dim, golden, almost too perfect, as if the whole place was set up for a movie scene. My closest friends were there: Ethan, Chris, and Jake, guys I've known since high school. My sister, Emily, had flown in too. And of course, sitting right across from me, dressed in a tight red dress that could make any man's head turn, was my wife, Heather. Heather, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone. But that night something was off. She wasn't really there. Her eyes weren't sparkling like they used to when she'd look at me. Instead, her gaze kept dropping under the table, fingers moving quickly, thumbs tapping. At first, I tried to laugh it off. Maybe it's Emily sending her some last-minute surprise instructions, or maybe she's posting some cute Instagram story for me. But the way she bit her lip, the way her cheeks flushed slightly as she typed, "Nah." I knew that look. I'd seen it before when we first started dating, when I was the one sending her those kind of messages. The conversations around the table buzzed. Chris cracking a dumb joke, Emily asking me about work, Jake ordering another round. But all I could hear was the faint click-click of Heather's nails against her phone screen, hidden just below her napkin. And that's when something inside me snapped. I picked up my glass of whiskey, stood up slowly, and forced a smile that felt like it was cutting into my face. Everyone's attention shifted toward me. Heather glanced up, startled, probably thinking I was about to make a sweet little speech about how lucky I was to have such amazing people around me. I cleared my throat, raised my glass high, and said, "To the man who's been keeping my wife busy." It was like throwing a grenade in the middle of the table. The laughter died instantly. Forks froze halfway to mouths. Even the waiter, who'd been sliding a plate onto the table, stopped cold like someone had hit the pause button. Heather's face went white, then red, then pale again in the span of 2 seconds. Her phone slipped from her hands and landed with a dull thud against the carpet. Emily's eyes widened, whispering my name like she wanted to stop me, but it was too late. I was past stopping. Heather stammered, What the hell is that supposed to mean, Daniel?" Her voice was sharp, but shaky, the kind of defensive tone you only use when you're cornered. I just looked at her, still smiling, but my hand was trembling around the glass. "It means exactly what it sounds like. You think I don't notice? You think I don't see you texting under the table like some teenager sneaking around? You think I'm blind, Heather?" Gasped. Silence. A wave of tension so thick you could chew it. Ethan muttered something like, "Bro, chill." But even he knew this wasn't a joke. Heather's eyes darted around the table, like she was looking for backup, for someone to save her from the storm she knew was about to hit. Finally, she tried to laugh, a bitter, fake little laugh. "Oh, please, you're being paranoid. I was texting my mother. She was asking about the cake. You always jump to conclusions, Daniel. You love making a scene, don't you?" But her hands were shaking, and the phone on the floor, the screen still glowing, betrayed her. Because even before she could snatch it back, I saw one name flash across the notification banner. Tyler Kissmark, and just like that, my chest caved in. The room was spinning, but I forced myself to stay upright, to hold my ground. My friends shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Emily looked like she wanted to slap Heather across the table. "Tyler, huh?" I said slowly, my voice low, almost calm. Too calm. "Guess your mom changed her name recently." Heather's lips parted, searching for words, but nothing came out. Just silence. That silence was worse than any scream. I sat back down, drained the rest of my whiskey in one swallow, and felt the burn claw down my throat. Everyone was staring at us, waiting. The birthday dinner now turned into a public execution of my marriage. And Heather, that cold-hearted bitch, instead of showing even an ounce of guilt, just rolled her eyes and muttered, "You're being dramatic as always. Happy damn birthday, Daniel." That was the moment I knew. This wasn't just some silly suspicion. My life as I knew it had just split wide open in front of everyone I loved. And it was only the beginning. After that night, the birthday dinner that turned into a war zone, nothing felt the same. The look on Heather's face, caught between rage and panic, was burned into my memory. And that damn name, glowing on her phone screen. Tyler kiss marked. I couldn't erase it, no matter how much I tried. The ride home was silent. Heather stared out the window like I wasn't even there, while my knuckles turned white around the steering wheel. My friends hadn't called. Emily hadn't texted. Everyone knew better than to step into the fire right then. As soon as we got inside, she stormed upstairs, muttering under her breath about how I had ruined everything. Ruined everything? What about the vows we'd made? What about me working double shifts for years to help us buy this house? What about the life I thought we were building? That night I didn't sleep. I sat in the living room, replaying every damn detail of the past few months. The late nights at yoga, the sudden new lingerie she claimed was for me but somehow never made it to the bedroom. The way she guarded her phone like it was a nuclear code, taking it into the bathroom, sleeping with it under her pillow. It all lined up now. By morning, I wasn't angry anymore. I was determined. If there's one thing I've always hated, it's being played for a fool. Heather thought she was clever, but I wasn't about to sit back and let her treat me like some idiot husband who never noticed a thing. So I started watching, listening, collecting pieces of her lies like shards of broken glass. The first crack came 2 days later. Heather said she was going to visit her mom. I knew her mother, Susan, lived across town and she loved to gossip. If Heather really was going there, Susan would post something, a picture, a Facebook update. But that evening, when I checked, Susan's profile showed nothing. No pictures, no posts. And when I called to casually ask how Heather was doing, Susan sounded confused. "Oh, honey, I haven't seen Heather in weeks," she said. My stomach dropped. I didn't confront Heather right away. Instead, I let her walk through the door an hour later, humming like nothing was wrong, holding a bag of groceries she probably bought just to look believable. She even kissed me on the cheek, as if she hadn't just lied through her teeth. That's when I knew. This wasn't some emotional fling, some stupid mistake. She was living a double life. The next move was checking her phone. But Heather wasn't stupid. She had a password. Still, after years together, I knew her habits. Her codes were always lazy, tied to birthdays or anniversaries. At 2 a.m., while she was asleep, I carefully slipped the phone from under her pillow. My hands shook as I tried 0415, our anniversary. Wrong. Then 0922, her birthday. Wrong again. Finally, I tried 1010, her brother's birthday. Click. Unlocked. And there it was. Dozens of messages. Photos. Her calling him baby, my Tyler. Even joking about how poor Daniel still has no clue. My chest tightened as I scrolled, each word cutting deeper than the last. One message stood out, burned into my brain. "Heather, last night was amazing. You make me feel alive again. I can't wait till I don't have to lie anymore. Alive again." Those words stabbed harder than anything. What was I to her all these years? A paycheck? A placeholder until Tyler showed up? I put the phone back, careful not to wake her. I sat there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, my entire body buzzing with rage. The next day, I followed her. She said she was going to yoga again. I trailed her car, keeping distance. My heart pounded like a drum. And then, like some twisted movie scene, I watched her pull into a hotel parking lot. She didn't even hesitate. She stepped out of the car, adjusted her dress, and walked straight inside like she'd done it 100 times before. I sat there, gripping the steering wheel, my nails digging into my palms, watching the door swallow her up. It wasn't suspicion anymore. It wasn't paranoia. It was fact. Heather was cheating on me, and the bitch didn't even care if I found out. When you finally see the truth with your own eyes, it changes something inside you. The suspicion burns, the evidence cuts, but the moment of confrontation, that's when everything explodes. I spent 2 days after the hotel incident pacing the house like a lion in a cage. My mind ran in circles. Do I blow up her lies now? Do I wait until I catch her red-handed in the act? Every time I looked at her fake smile, my fists itched. She'd hum while cooking dinner, scroll through her phone with that smug little smirk, even kiss me goodnight like nothing was wrong. I couldn't take it anymore. It happened on a Thursday evening. Heather was in the kitchen, pouring herself a glass of wine, dressed in yoga leggings like she was about to go to another one of her classes. I leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, watching her. "Long session tonight?" I asked, my tone sharp, deliberate. She froze for a second, then turned with that fake casual grin. "Yeah, hot yoga. You know how it is." "Funny," I said, stepping closer. "Because when I followed you on Tuesday, you weren't bending into downward dog. You were bending yourself right into the Hampton Hotel." Her face went blank, a flicker of fear. Then, like a switch, her expression hardened into annoyance. "You followed me? Daniel, what the hell is wrong with you?" I laughed, bitter and sharp. "What's wrong with me?" "Heather, you're the one sneaking around with some guy named Tyler while lying to my face. And you're asking me what's wrong with me?" She slammed her wine glass on the counter, red liquid splashing. "You're paranoid. You've always been paranoid. Tyler's just a friend. You twist everything into some damn conspiracy." "A friend," I barked. "Friends don't meet in hotels at night. Friends don't text, 'Last night was amazing.' You make me feel alive again." Her jaw dropped. She hadn't expected me to have the receipts. "You," she stammered. "You went through my phone? That's such a violation." I stepped closer, my voice low but shaking with fury. "The violation wasn't me opening your phone. The violation was you spreading your legs for another man while wearing my ring." She gasped, offended, as if I had crossed the line. "God, Daniel, you're disgusting." "No," I snapped. "You're disgusting. You're a liar, a cheater. And the worst part? You don't even care." The silence after that was deafening. Her eyes darted away, guilt flickering, but instead of breaking down, she straightened her shoulders and smirked. A smirk. "You were never enough for me," she spat. "Not exciting enough. Not fun enough. Tyler makes me feel things you never could. I stayed because it was convenient. You pay the bills, you keep the house in order, but let's be real. You've been boring me for years." Those words, they hit harder than any punch I'd ever taken in my life. My chest burned, my throat tightened. For a moment, I thought I might actually collapse right there on the kitchen tiles. I wanted her to cry. I wanted her to beg. Instead, she twisted the knife deeper, arms crossed, her chin tilted up like some queen looking down at her servant. "Honestly," she continued, "I don't even feel bad. Tyler makes me happy. And you? You're just safe. That's all you've ever been." I slammed my fist on the counter so hard the glass shook. "I gave you everything, Heather. Years of my life, loyalty, sacrifice. And this is what I get." Her response was a shrug. A goddamn shrug. "Maybe you should have tried harder," she said coldly. That was it. The final nail. The end of whatever illusion I'd been living in. I grabbed my keys, my coat, and walked out before I did something I couldn't take back. She shouted after me, "Where are you going? Don't you dare walk out like a child." But I didn't answer. I slammed the door so hard it rattled the frame. Outside, the night air was freezing, but it felt cleaner than the poison inside that house. I sat in my truck, hands shaking on the wheel, replaying every word, every smirk, every drop of venom she had spit at me. That was no wife. That was a stranger. A bitch wearing my wife's face. And now it was war. The night I walked out of the house, I didn't know where the hell I was driving. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned bone white. My chest was pounding like it wanted to crack open. Every word Heather spit at me echoed in my head on repeat. "You were never enough. Tyler makes me feel alive. You've been boring me for years." I ended up in an empty parking lot behind a 24-hour diner, just sitting in the truck, staring out at the flickering neon sign. Couldn't cry. Couldn't even breathe right. All I could do was sit there and let the betrayal eat me alive from the inside. How do you process something like that? One day you think you're building a life with someone, and the next you realize they've been building an escape plan with somebody else. The woman I trusted more than anyone had been lying straight into my face, smiling, kissing me, cooking dinner, while sneaking around with another man. I've been played. A fool. And she didn't even feel bad about it. That was the part that killed me most. The disrespect. If she had cried, begged, shown an ounce of guilt, maybe I'd feel like I still mattered. But instead, she smirked. She threw it in my face. She wanted me to feel small, like she'd been waiting for the moment to finally unload all the poison she'd been holding. I sat there until the sun started to rise, watching the sky turn gray, then orange. My phone buzzed a few times. Texts from Emily, one from Ethan. None from Heather. She didn't care if I came back or not. By morning, the anger gave way to something worse. Emptiness. The kind of hollow ache that makes you question your whole damn life. Was she right? Was I boring? Had I been blind for years? Did everyone else see it but me? I dragged myself back home around 8 a.m. The house was quiet. Heather was still in bed, sleeping peacefully, like she hadn't just burned our marriage to the ground. I couldn't even look at her. I grabbed a pillow and blanket, crashed on the couch, and stared at the ceiling until exhaustion finally knocked me out. The next few days were hell. I couldn't focus on work, couldn't eat, couldn't think about anything except those messages on her phone. Every time she'd leave the house, I'd wonder, is she with him right now? Are they laughing at me? Heather, meanwhile, acted like nothing happened. She'd hum in the kitchen, watch TV, scroll on her phone. No apology, no explanation, just pure arrogance. Once, when I tried to bring it up again, she rolled her eyes and said, "Daniel, you need to let it go. Stop being so dramatic." That's when it hit me. She wasn't just cheating on me physically. She was emotionally gone, checked out, done. And she wanted me to be the one who broke so she wouldn't have to feel guilty about walking away. The rage came back full force. One night, I punched the wall so hard my knuckles split open. The sting of blood felt better than the numbness in my chest. Emily came over the next day, saw the hole in the drywall, and nearly cried when I told her what happened. "Danny, you don't deserve this," she whispered, holding my hand like I was the little brother instead of the older one. "She's trash. She doesn't deserve you." Her words helped, but they didn't fix the part of me that kept replaying Heather's laugh, her smirk, her venom. At night, I'd lay on the couch listening to her footsteps upstairs, wondering if she was texting Tyler while lying in the same bed we once shared. Sometimes I wanted to storm up there, rip the phone out of her hands, scream until the walls shook. Other times I just wanted to disappear, to never have to face her face again. This wasn't marriage anymore. It was war, and I was losing. But in the middle of that pain, in the hollow ache of betrayal, something else started to grow. A fire, a resolve. She thought I'd roll over, play the fool, keep the house warm while she lived her double life. But she didn't know me as well as she thought. She'd underestimated me. And soon, she was going to find out what that mistake would cost her. The days after Heather's confession weren't days at all. They were battlegrounds. Every morning I woke up on that couch with the same war raging in my head. Do I fight for this? Or do I burn it down and walk away? Divorce. The word kept echoing like a drumbeat. My friends, my sister, even my own damn gut screamed it at me. But divorce wasn't just a word. It was years of memories, money, paperwork, lawyers, dragging our lives through the mud. It was admitting that the woman I'd built my future with had turned out to be a snake. And I wasn't sure if I was ready to face the world as Daniel, the man whose wife cheated on him. Heather didn't make it easier. In fact, she made it worse. She strutted around the house like she owned it, like she hadn't just spit in my face and ripped my heart out. She'd take long showers before yoga, spritz perfume I'd never smelled before, and walk out the door without even looking at me. Sometimes she wouldn't come home until midnight, and when she did, she'd toss her heels aside, crawl into bed, and act like I was invisible. One night, when she was scrolling on her phone, I asked straight up, "Are you seeing him right now? While you're sitting in our house?" She didn't even flinch, didn't lie, didn't deny, just smirked and said, "Maybe. What are you going to do about it, Daniel?" That line nearly broke me. The disrespect wasn't just casual, it was weaponized. She wanted me to feel powerless, to see myself as the weak husband who couldn't control his wife. That's when I knew divorce wasn't just an option. It was a weapon. But still, part of me wanted revenge. I thought about Tyler, the man with the little kiss emoji next to his name. The man who was sleeping with my wife while I was out there busting my back to provide for her. I imagined his face, imagined punching it until my knuckles split again. I even drove past the Hampton Hotel one night, half hoping to catch him walking out with Heather so I could finally explode. But he never came, and maybe that was for the best. Because if I had seen him, I don't know if I'd be writing this. I might have been in a cell instead. Instead, I sat with Emily the next morning over coffee. She leaned across the table, eyes sharp, voice firm. Danny, you can't let her drag you down any further. She's not sorry. She's not changing. She's spitting in your face every single day. The only decision you need to make is when you're leaving her. Not if. She was right. But saying it and doing it are two different beasts. That evening, Heather strutted back into the house wearing a tight dress, laughing into her phone. When she saw me on the couch, she rolled her eyes. Oh, don't look at me like that. I told you, if you can't handle me having a life, that's your problem. I didn't say a word. I just studied her. Every curl of her hair, every sharp flick of her wrist, every venom-filled smirk. And for the first time, I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel broken. I felt cold. The decision was made. I wasn't going to beg her to stay. I wasn't going to scream or throw things or make her feel the pain she'd given me. No, Heather wanted drama. She wanted to see me unravel, to watch me fall apart so she could feel justified in running to Tyler's arms. I wasn't giving her that satisfaction. Instead, I was going to take back control. Quietly, calculated. Like a man who finally sees the battlefield clearly. I pulled out my laptop that night and started looking up lawyers. I didn't care about the money, the house, any of it. What I cared about was freedom, peace, walking away with my dignity intact, while Heather drowned in her own lies. But one thought still gnawed at me as I lay awake on the couch later that night. Tyler doesn't get to walk away clean either, because while Heather might have been the one who betrayed me, he was the parasite who fed off it. And a part of me, an ugly, burning part, wanted to see him bleed for it. For now, though, the first step was clear. I was done being her fool. I knew it was only a matter of time before I crossed paths with Tyler. Fate doesn't keep men like that hidden forever. He was bound to crawl out of the shadows, and when he did, I'd be ready. It happened on a Saturday afternoon. I was coming back from the hardware store, planning to patch the hole I'd punched in the drywall. When I pulled into my driveway, there it was, a sleek black Dodge Charger parked right in front of my house. And standing on my porch, laughing like he belonged there, was him. Tall, athletic build, maybe early 30s. Dark hair slicked back, smug grin plastered across his face. Heather was leaning against the doorframe in shorts so short they looked like underwear, twirling her hair like a teenager. She was laughing, harder than I'd seen her laugh in years. My blood boiled instantly. I slammed the truck door and marched across the yard. Heather spotted me first, her smile fading for a split second before she put on that smug mask again. "Daniel," she said casually. "This is Tyler." Tyler turned, extended a hand like we were meeting at a damn barbecue. "Hey man, I've heard a lot about you." I didn't shake it. My eyes locked on his, and I swear I could see the arrogance dripping from every pore. This was the guy. The parasite who'd been sneaking into my marriage, into my wife's bed, while I was breaking my back to keep a roof over her head. "Get off my porch," I growled. Heather crossed her arms, smirking. "Don't be rude." Tyler was just dropping something off for me. "Dropping something off?" I barked. "Yeah, I bet he was. He's been dropping something off for months. Hasn't he, Heather?" Tyler chuckled, shaking his head like I was some joke. "Look, man, no need to get worked up. Heather and I." "Shut your mouth," I snapped, stepping forward. My fists clenched so hard my nails dug into my palms. Heather suddenly stepped between us, eyes blazing. "Don't you dare. Don't you dare embarrass yourself. You look pathetic." Pathetic. That word hit like a hammer. She wanted me to snap. She wanted me to lose it, to swing so she could play the victim. I took a deep breath, staring Tyler down. You think you're a man, coming into another man's house? Sleeping with his wife? That doesn't make you a man, Tyler. It makes you a coward. His smirk faltered, just for a moment. Then he leaned forward, lowering his voice. Maybe if you knew how to keep your woman happy, she wouldn't come looking for me. That was it. The final straw. I lunged before I even realized it. My fist connected with his jaw, and the sound was sickening, bone against bone. Tyler stumbled back, hitting the porch railing, clutching his face. Heather screamed, "Daniel, are you insane?" But I wasn't insane. For the first time in weeks, I felt alive. The rage that had been boiling inside finally had somewhere to go. Tyler straightened, wiping blood from his lip, eyes blazing now. "Big mistake," he spat. He swung, but I ducked, driving my shoulder into his chest, slamming him against the wall. For a few seconds it was chaos. Fists, shouts, Heather shrieking, but I didn't care. All I saw was red. Finally, neighbors started yelling, someone threatening to call the cops. That snapped me out of it. I released him, breathing hard, fists still trembling. Tyler stood there, glaring, face swollen, lips split. Heather rushed to him, touching his arm like I was the monster. "You're done, Daniel," she hissed at me. "You just proved everything I've been saying. You're violent, unstable, pathetic. You're nothing compared to him." I laughed bitterly, blood dripping from my knuckles. "If I'm nothing, why the hell are you still living in my house? Why not move in with lover boy here?" She didn't answer, just glared, clutching Tyler like he was some prize. The cops never came, but the damage was done. I walked inside, slammed the door, and for the first time, I felt the line had been crossed. There was no turning back. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was war, and I wasn't going to lose. After the fight with Tyler, everything in the house turned poisonous. The air was thick with hostility. Every corner felt like a trap. Every word was a weapon. Heather strutted around like nothing happened, like she hadn't just watched her husband and her lover nearly tear each other apart on the porch. But her smirk had grown sharper, nastier. She knew she had me in the spotlight now. Me, the angry husband with bloody knuckles. She twisted it, weaponized it, made it into her story. The next morning, she sat at the kitchen counter sipping coffee, scrolling on her phone. "By the way," she said casually, "I told my mom and some friends about what you did yesterday. They all think you're losing it." I froze. "You what?" She didn't even look up. "Well, you punched Tyler in the face, Daniel. You looked like a maniac. People should know what I'm dealing with." It hit me like a gut punch. Not only had she betrayed me, but now she was rewriting the narrative, painting me as the villain while she played the victim. That night, I got a text from Ethan. "Heard you went off the rails. Everything okay?" And that's when it clicked. Heather was laying the groundwork. She wanted everyone to believe I was unstable, violent, dangerous. She wanted to destroy me before I could walk away. The bitch wasn't satisfied with cheating. She wanted to take my reputation with her. I tried to confront her again, tried to peel away the smug mask she wore like armor. "Heather, listen to me. You don't get to cheat on me, humiliate me, and then paint me as the monster. You know what you've done." She finally looked up, her eyes cold and flat. "What I've done? Daniel, what I've done is survive being married to a boring man who can't satisfy me. Tyler makes me feel alive. And you?" She gestured at me like I was a piece of trash. "You make me feel trapped. And now that you've snapped, everyone sees it. So don't try to act like the hero here." My hands shook. My throat burned. But I didn't yell this time. I didn't throw anything. I just stared at her, long enough for her smirk to falter. Because in that moment, I realized something. She wasn't winning. She was desperate. Heather had crossed so many lines, dug herself so deep into her own lies, that the only way she could live with herself was by making me the villain. She couldn't admit she was the snake in the grass, so she needed to convince everyone, including me, that I was the problem. But I wasn't the problem. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't violent. I wasn't boring. I was just done. That night, after she went upstairs, I pulled out the divorce papers I'd already asked a lawyer to prepare. I read through every page slowly, the words blurring with the weight of finality. For weeks I'd been clinging to hope, rage, revenge. But now, sitting in that silent living room, I finally felt something else. Clarity. This marriage was dead. Heather had killed it with her lies, her arrogance, her disrespect. And I wasn't going to spend another second trying to resuscitate the corpse. The next morning, I laid the papers on the kitchen table. When Heather came down, still yawning, scrolling through her phone, she stopped cold at the sight of them. "What's this?" she asked, though she already knew. "Your freedom," I said flatly. She blinked, surprised. For the first time in months, her smirk slipped. "You're serious?" I nodded. "I'm done. You wanted Tyler? Go to him. You wanted excitement? Go chase it. But you won't do it while dragging me through the mud anymore." Her mouth opened, closed, then curved into a cold smile. "Fine. Don't think you're walking away clean, Daniel. I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of man you really are." I leaned forward, meeting her eyes. "And I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of woman you are." Silence. A stare down. For once, she didn't have a comeback. That was the breaking point. Not the affair, not the lies, not even the fight with Tyler. It was that moment at the table, where I finally saw her for what she really was. A bitter, selfish woman who would rather burn everything down than admit her own faults. And I wasn't going to burn with her. Filing those divorce papers should have been the end. Clean break. But with Heather, nothing was ever clean. She couldn't just let me go and slip into Tyler's arms. No, she had to twist the knife one last time. It started with phone calls. Friends, family, even coworkers reaching out with the same hesitant tone. "Hey, I heard some things about you. Is everything okay?" Heather had gone full throttle with her smear campaign. She painted me as a violent, controlling husband who couldn't handle a strong, independent woman. She played the victim, claiming I'd snapped on her and she had feared for her safety. Hearing those words secondhand made my blood boil. This was the same woman who smirked in my face while sneaking off to hotel rooms. The same woman who taunted me with her lover under our roof. The same woman who laughed while my world burned. And now she wanted to make me out to be the villain? The old me, the one before all of this, would have stormed to her mother's house, shouted my truth until the walls shook, maybe even confronted Tyler again. But I wasn't that man anymore. The confrontation, the rage, the sleepless nights. They'd stripped me down to something raw, but they'd also given me clarity. Heather thrived on chaos. She fed on it. Every time I yelled, every time I broke, she grew stronger because it confirmed her lies. So I chose silence. When people asked, I didn't rant. I didn't scream. I didn't beg them to believe me. I just said, "Heather and I are divorcing. That's all that matters." Some looked doubtful, others sympathetic, but the truth didn't need defending. Eventually, it always surfaces. Meanwhile, Heather escalated. One evening, she waltzed into the house, still technically hers until the paperwork cleared, dragging a suitcase behind her. Tyler stood on the porch, grinning like he'd won. "I'm moving out," she announced dramatically, as if she was delivering the final blow. "Tyler's picking me up. We're starting fresh." I just nodded. "Good. Don't let the door hit you." That stunned her. She expected me to beg, to break, to lash out one last time. Instead, I sat calmly on the couch, flipping through a stack of bills, not giving her the performance she wanted. "You're pathetic," she spat, grabbing her suitcase handle. "No," I said evenly, meeting her eyes for the last time. "I'm free." She sneered, muttered something under her breath, and slammed the door behind her. Just like that, she was gone. The silence that followed wasn't heavy this time, it was liberating. For the first time in months, maybe years, the house actually felt like mine. No lies buzzing in the air. No phone lighting up under the covers. No fake smiles hiding poison. Just peace. The divorce finalized 3 months later. She walked away with less than she expected. Turns out the court doesn't look kindly on women who parade their affair around like a trophy. Tyler? He stuck by her at first, But from what Emily told me, they didn't last. Parasites don't stay loyal, they just move on to the next host. As for me, I rebuilt. Slowly. The wounds didn't vanish, but scars are better than open cuts. I started going to the gym again, hanging out with my friends without that heavy cloud over me. Even picked up fishing again, something I hadn't touched since college. Looking back, the pain was brutal, but it was also an awakening. Heather's betrayal forced me to face something most men ignore. If someone disrespects you once, they'll do it again. If someone lies easily, they'll lie forever. And if someone laughs while tearing you down, they don't love you, they despise you. To any man reading this, here's my advice. Don't ignore the signs. Don't make excuses for her behavior. If your gut tells you something's wrong, it probably is. And when betrayal slaps you in the face, don't cling to the wreckage. Swim for shore. Because no matter how much you love her, you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. I learned the hard way that love isn't about loyalty to the other person. It's about loyalty to yourself. Respect yourself enough to walk away from poison, even if it hurts. My marriage ended on my birthday, in front of a table full of people. But in a strange way, that was also the day I was reborn. And if I had to raise a glass now, I'd say this. To the man who kept my wife busy, thank you. You showed me the truth, and you set me free.